Welcome to the Diablo III podcast. We are online at DiabloIncGamers.com. I am your host, Flux, and I'm joined on the show by Aahz.
Hola.
And by Wolfie.
Hello.
Better known as Aahzmodius and Wolfpaq. We are going to talk tonight about recent play stories and why monks are flawed and other classes are not, and multiplayer stuff, and Blizzcon, and Aahzmodius is going to talk about how much he likes being in a clan and running a clan in Diablo 3 and how all the tools are really awesome and you can do whatever you want to with it. Say yes.
Oh yeah, it's a great interface.
Exactly, it's wonderful. And you guys are actually in the same clan, and Aahz, you're an officer in it. So I was making jokes earlier about how when we were emailing to set this up, if Wolfpaq is late, you can dock him clan points and otherwise penalize him. And I'm like, oh wait.
With that beautiful interface, right?
Yeah, you have absolutely no tools of any kind, but we'll get to that later. So, recent play stories. What have you guys been up to? Are you still hardcore Wolfpaq?
Yeah, I am still hardcore and loving it. I actually went through and deleted all but one of my softcore characters to make room for future hardcore characters, and it's a complete change. I love it. I'm probably going to play hardcore for the rest of my Diablo 3 experience, and it's entirely because of seasons. Because
yes, I was going to say you only started with seasons, right?
Yeah, because I wanted to lower the competition a little bit. Originally I was only going to do it to get in the top 1,000 on the ladder, but then I realized, wait, I can stay current on the leaderboards for things like Greater Rifts without having to spend hours gambling for the conduit shrines and hoping for the good one. That seems like kind of lame gameplay to me, and yeah, so I'm enjoying hardcore. Still playing the wizard.
And you've never died yet?
Not yet.
I mean, not permanently. Have you had your life-saving proc?
Oh yeah, I've had both of them proc.
Yeah, so you would have died, but you took measures to avoid that.
I would have died if not for Firebird and for unstable anomaly. I think that's what it's called.
And how is it different? So you played only softcore. Did you ever play hardcore at all before? I mean, during Diablo 3 and then Reaper of Souls until Seasons?
I did. I got one guy to max level just to see what it was like, but once I got there, I stopped going back to softcore, just because I didn't really see the point of risking it. But now that there's like stuff on the line and incentive to risk it, I'm enjoying it much more.
I ask people all the time in the clan and stuff, and people send me emails or whatever, and they say, about the podcast, and they're like, I never played hardcore, but you guys on the podcast all talk about hardcore, and I finally tried it and got totally hooked. So somehow you resisted Wolfpaq forever, because you were on the podcast back in the beta, Diablo 3 beta,
yeah.
Not even Reaper of Souls beta. And then you were on and off, and somehow you never really tried hardcore until Seasons, and now you've been captured.
Yep, that's absolutely correct. It's so, I mean, part of, and we'll probably talk about this later, but I think the multiplayer experience in hardcore is significantly better than softcore, even without putting in a lot of, I mean, just the whole thing. People, since the nature of hardcore is people are constantly dying. You have incentive to power level.
Well, not you, obviously.
Well, yeah.
Other people, lesser people die.
Lesser people. But I mean, it's fun. It really creates a sense of community that I feel is not quite there in softcore.
So what have you been up to lately, Aahz? You play hardcore, and you're an officer in the clan that Wolfpaq is in, and you've taught him everything he knows, right?
I've taught him nothing, but
in your clan strategy meetings, you've gone over all the basics for the noobs.
Well, for the last week, all I did was spam the chat saying that the clans are going to reform, but we
and then
avoided that, so I had to tell everybody I was sorry for all the spam.
You realize that's all your fault, right? The whole clan thing, that we didn't do it?
Yeah,
because you have like some massive Excel spreadsheet, and you were like, we have 107.2 members who are active now, and it won't fit.
I did my best, man. Yeah, when you can combine spreadsheets and video games, I mean, as an accountant, that makes me very happy.
I think everyone makes everyone happy. So other than when you took a break from spamming about a clan merger that wasn't going to happen, I guess I should say that we actually did merge the East and the West clans, but the North remained strong and independent, much like Blizzard North itself. And I'm sure nothing bad will happen, much like Blizzard North itself. Wonderful precedent there.
As long as Xanth doesn't leave, we'll be fine.
Yeah, so in 3 years we'll fire you all and Jay Wilson will take over, just so you know. And then only wonderful things will happen.
Well, instead of firing me, I'll just take a pay cut. Just cut my pay 50%.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I've
So
been
have you actually played the game any lately?
yeah, I've been playing a seasonal Witch Doctor, Jade Harvester build, and today I pushed a little bit and did a Greater Rift 28 solo. I just got the double Unity set up this week, and that helps big time. So
Oh yeah,
it was
me
a little
too
scary. I
actually.
got a double pack right at the door when I started out. That was tense, but I got past it. Kept the heart rate going. So I think I'm in like about 250-ish as far as the rank. Somebody in the clan's hired me though, so I gotta, shoot for him.
You get to kick him out of the clan, then you're number one.
No,
Hey, I
only
win.
only Xanth can do that.
Oz
I'm just
wins
an
again.
officer.
It's Dan's busy not playing though, so
If I had
he's
clan
busy.
tools and I could just go in, and kill off his character when he was playing or something, some kind of lag spike. But
There you
there's
go.
no tools. There's no tools.
Yeah, that's gonna be a whole topic later, so we'll save some ammo for that. But
Wait, let me chime in
so
real quick,
yeah, go
because
ahead.
I literally had the exact same thing. I had double Unity for a long time, but I finally got a follower cannot die item like yesterday, and so I pushed Greater Rift 29 and managed to beat it. It's so awesome having 50% damage reduction on top of everything else.
Ironically, I have double follower can't die and no unities, so fortunately that's not quite as useful. So
You've been in T6 for a while though, haven't you, Wolfpack? It seems like I saw you playing T6 earlier than just this week.
Oh yeah, no, I mean I don't think double Unity is necessary for T6, at least not for the way I play Cowardly Wizard, like Blizzard and run away from everything.
which apparently most people consider to be pretty much mandatory to get above like at least GR30 in softcore even. Hardcore is maybe a little lower because death.
Yeah, even with that, I mean the Jade Harvester build, at least the way I run it, I'm running a furnace, so I don't even have the serpent damage reduction, and I'm pretty squishy, but it's fun playstyle. I like it.
So on the last podcast, I wanted to get someone who was doing a witch doctor because they made a bunch of buffs in the last patch to the pets, and so they don't die in one shot anymore apparently. So, but you're playing a witch doctor, so tell us how the how's your pet doctoring working? And have you noticed a change since the last patch?
Unfortunately, I'm the wrong guy to answer that. I just have the dogs, and they're mostly out there for the extra damage reduction, the physical that takes like a 10% damage to the dogs. And they on tough packs they still die, but on the other hand, I got about I don't know 8 million or so toughness, so I don't have a lot of um, I don't have a lot of toughness. So if they buff the pets, so if they kind of go off your toughness, I'm not sure it matters with my build and equipment.
Yeah, that sounds like you're exactly not what I need. Well,
Exactly
I guess that's why
right.
you didn't. That's why you didn't volunteer to be on the podcast last week.
You
So
got it.
I got my little hopes up and everything.
I did. I mean, I haven't really noticed a difference, I guess, from the patch, but I haven't run sycophants since when I first hit, Torment with the before I got the Jade Harvester gear.
Could you call them psychopants? I always think that's amusing when someone does that. I forget one or two of our podcast people mentioned the fetish psychopants, which sounds like a really good necromancer item. Really.
The psychopants of Hexing Mr. Yon or something.
Yeah, they make you run really fast, and they create a stinking aroma. My monk actually is wearing those, by the way. They're kind of crappy. But so you've just been playing your wizard, which pack, Wolfpaq,
Yeah.
and I played with you like a month ago or something, and you had just gotten into your Firebird 6, and you were just sort of running around madly teleporting with your super teleport wand, and just dropping meteors behind you for miles and miles. And you've diversified since then. You mentioned Blizzard.
Yeah, I'm only using Blizzard now as my primary attack, and Black Hole is just for crowd control. And between the toxic, what's it called, efficacious toxin and the pain enhancer, everything's bleeding and burning and poisoned behind me, and I just keep going and going and going. And anything gets near me, I just teleport away. I'm no longer using that teleport wand because elite damage is just too good, and I found a Sunkeeper, so I'm running that. And yeah, it's going pretty great. I have like 90% fire and I think 54% elite damage, and it helps a lot. Even though my sheet damage is pretty low, I'm able to burn things down pretty quickly.
And you enjoy the playstyle? Yeah, Firebird has enabled everything you're doing basically.
Yeah, basically that dot is like the majority of my damage, along with the epic gem dots. And oh, I also run the Mammoth Hydra. Just basically anything I can get to leave behind and then keep moving is what I will take. And I recently started actually gearing up a Crusader too, because it looked like a lot of fun. A couple of the people I party with regularly in the clan are running Crusader, and it looks like a lot of fun. So I'm trying to gear up one at the moment.
Not a barbarian, because those are really a strong class now. Everyone lists barbarians best in strength class. Oh wait,
Nope, not a barbarian.
now, he thought Crusader. No, the Crusaders are they only average about 10 greater rifts higher. I mean, there's no reason to think they're a better class or anything right now.
Yep.
I like running with barbs with the war cry, but the one that I run with the most, he's lost a couple. You know, when we've pushed higher greater rifts, so leaping.
And you just continue on and watch his corpse bouncing behind you.
Yeah,
Basically.
I mean, you know,
Well, he's a barbarian. He deserves it,
we're
right?
usually in vent, so we offer our condolences in real time, and then we go finish the rift.
You see how power level you later. Power later you level.
You got it. It takes about an hour or so, a little over.
Yeah.
That was last week's podcast. We had much discussion of that and how it's funny. At least in hardcore, you have to actually do something. You can't just join someone else's T6 game and just run behind them and hope for the best.
Well, yeah, you have to actually find the game with the cursed seller in Act 1, and then stand at that.
And you can't die. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it was funny when I was mentioning the whole co-op thing and asking, I want to talk about some high-level co-op stuff today, and Wolfpaq replied with just a link in his email, which I posted a news item about tonight and forgot to credit you on that. I have to go back and edit that one later.
Fun.
But it's some wizard casting in town portal, and somebody runs past one of those telephone poles, falls down in the goat cheek caves, and just squash them. Where did you find that? You just saw that somewhere or what?
It was on Reddit.
Yeah.
There was a YouTube video on Reddit, and it was like the most popular thing this week just because it's so hilarious. The dude just got owned.
What, did you just watch that now, Aahz?
Yeah, I just flipped over and watched it. That's great.
That's pretty awesome. I hadn't seen it before. Wolfpaq sent me the link, so I was like, I wonder where he found this. But that was your whole email. It's like this defines co-op. Because my whole email to you is we talk about co-op on the podcast, and you're like, here's co-op. You didn't even say it. You just sent the link. I'm like, well, that pretty much sums it up.
Yep.
Here's party co-op, and do you think run by and kill someone with a goddamn telephone pole or totem pole or something like that?
Okay, but that's not hardcore though, because most people will survive that in hardcore.
Yeah, I think that had to be someone who was getting power rushed, right?
Yeah, it was in softcore.
Gotcha. Well, yeah.
Because it says at the end. I mean, I don't know if I showed it. The whole clip.
Items lose durability. Yeah.
Right. And it was just.
It would have been too perfect if it was hardcore. That would have been awesome.
Yeah. And it was.
But I mean, it looks like I figured he was like level 10 and everyone else was level 70 or something. That's why he died so easily from it. But
Yep. Exactly.
But it was still delightful.
Yeah. I thought it was hilarious, and you
Plus one would watch again. Okay, so we're rambling on this hot topic here. So recent play stuff. I have either the last podcast or the one before. I went into the 74th time that I bitched about the control system in Diablo 3 and how you have to use a left click when I just want to have 5 hotkeys on the keyboard because left click for melee attacks sucks. And my last monk kind of died because of that, because basically I was wasting a hotkey slot and didn't have a serenity because of it. So I made a new monk. I'm playing a little bit part time. And immediately, it was a much better build than my first one, so I'm not sure what I was doing so wrong the last time, but I was immediately able to do T2 very easily when I got just to level 70 with some hand-me-down stuff. But I'm doing it with the whole left-click thing, like the way they want you to do it, and it's just so damn tedious. I'm like, what is this, Diablo 1? It's just like click, 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 click. Because you just have to do it, you have to reacquire targets just constantly when you're using your left-click for your melee hits. Yeah. And I guess at higher levels, you can kind of get away from that if you get more specialized gear. You just run around, condemning or something. I mean, that's obviously not a monk skill, but you don't have to click on every single target individually, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But just when you're first getting to T1, and I'm still using, 100, way of 100 fists or something like that. And it's just like, I just gotten bored with it. It's just too much clicking. I really, it's just like Diablo 1 all over again. It reminds me why I hated that build style, hated that control system style in Diablo 3 Vanilla. But it didn't matter so much there because that gameplay in D3 Vanilla, we didn't have all these magical, awesome, legendary affixes, and you kind of had to use your hatred generator. Then you'd spend a bunch, 2 or 3 at a time with your left click on your hatred spender, and that's just not the way the builds work anymore. So I just seems really unsuited for it, and I'm not sure how anyone tolerates this. And I want to go to Blizzard and break out their little fingers.
Do you have a spender on your right click?
I have, yeah, I don't even remember. Yeah, I do now, yeah, but I mean, that's kind of what you have to do. But I mean, what I just enjoy doing is putting the hatred generator on the right click, and you just hold it down, it acquires targets automatically.
Yeah.
And it just saves you endless clicking, so.
Yeah, I took your suggestion on that when I was playing Monk.
Yeah, you can't do it anymore, so forget I ever said it.
Yeah, they did that with Dashing Strike, too. I used to have Dashing Strike on the left click, and then they switched that when ROS came out. You couldn't map it there anymore. Stupid.
well, of course, it's the best skill in the world now. But I mean, I have Destiny Strike on 2 or 3 or something. I mean, on my keyboard. But well, I mean, actually, I have them on ASDF, of course. But whatever, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It just makes me unhappy. And so, I've also been playing Demon Hunter, and I got my Demon Hunter. I got my M6 gear on US on hardcore, and I immediately got bored with it. It's like, I mean, it's super effective, but it's just I was able to do T4 just instantly without any specialized gear for no damage to sentries. I didn't have an enforcer gem, etc. But it's just such an easy build, and I was like, oh, this is boring, whatever. And so, luckily enough, and then I played the monk a little bit and got sick of all the left clicking. And luckily enough, someone sent me a private message and said, hey, you need to get on the European clan that you run that's got 149 members, and there's no room for anyone to join, and there's inactive people, and your captains aren't on lately. And I was like, Aahzmodius, you want to go play on European? And you were like, no. So I was like, God damn it. So I had to go log on there, and I made a new captain, a new officer, and the other two guys hadn't been on that much lately, the older officers. And he was like all industrious and awesome and like European, probably German actually. He seemed to really enjoy eliminating the dead wood. Silence. And so anyway, he eliminated like 30 people that were not lately active, and we had new room for more people to get in. And while I was there, I thought, oh, I might as well play a little bit. I wasn't going to do a new seasonal character. That's too much work. But I had played a bunch of European hardcore Demon Hunter back before the season started. I had kind of forgotten about everything. And I went and looked at my character, so I'm like, this actually is not a bad character. It was almost better than my one on the US. Had a really nice Kreider shot and had other gear. I only had one thing of Marauders because it was back way before those became so easy to find. And I started playing a little bit and got totally hooked into playing that one, and immediately got to M4, which is awesome because then you get all the pets running around and the chinchillas and stuff.
Yep.
And then they get those little flower bowls and they start rolling around and stuff. It's just awesome, and they pick up all your gold for you. They're really fun.
They're way better now. They used to suck.
Exactly. Yeah, M4 is fantastic, and I had that with the Garwolf's chest piece too. So, which I imagine you must always wear a Wolfpaq when you play a Demon Hunter, right?
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, it is literally a Wolfpaq.
It's the tribute to me that Blizzard built into the game.
Exactly, or possibly that columnist we used to have forever ago. One of the two. But the three. I always just think of that really cheesy T-shirt with the three wolves howling at the moon on it. It became a meme for a while. But yeah, so I'm playing that character, and it's really fun having like 3 wolves and a bear and a well, not a bear, and a boar and a bat and 2 ferrets. But I have one request. Could they make the ferrets just pick up the gold, please? I mean, I don't need. I realize when you're a ferret, you can answer on this Wolfpaq because you own chinchillas. You'll understand. You can understand their mindset, right?
Yeah.
They have minds, right?
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Very small, but they do have minds.
Yep.
So like when you're a ferret, the whole world is your ankle, and you just want to bite it, right? I mean, like the whole world. It's like a cat in the Sahara Desert. The whole world is your sandbox.
That sounds about
When you're
right.
a ferret, all you can see are ankles, and God damn it, they need biting. And so when you have the M4, the Marauders 4 set, you get all the familiars at once, and that means you get to have double ferrets, and they pick up gold. But there's just so many freaking ankles. It's just ankles everywhere. They're like fat sensing devices in a Walmart, and they just cannot help themselves. And everywhere they go, and so I'm standing there, I'm using Boon of the Hoarder because I have no damn gold on my European account, and there's just oceans of gold. Meanwhile, there's like one monster in the bottom corner, and the ferrets are down there just chewing the shit out of his ankles. Doing like 0.2 damage per second. I'm like, just pick up the gold. God, so Wolfpaq, as a chinchilla wrangler, how can I fix this?
I mean, chinchillas aren't actually that aggressive. They're prey animals. They would be far more interested in picking up treats than they would biting something, unless it's directly threatening them. So I feel like Blizzard needs to just get some ferrets, and some chinchillas. Study them.
Apparently we need chinchillas in the game, because then they pick up treats.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, change the
I just
ferrets.
wanted to pick up the gold. I don't need them to bite the ankles of things.
Change the ferrets to chinchillas, and then, yeah, it should be good.
Maybe you can.
I mean, I know it's a whole Beastmaster thing, but go ahead, Az.
No, I was going to say you can either consult with Mark Singer, or maybe you can send a crate of ferrets to like Blizzard HQ, and that way they can get to know, how they act in their natural environment.
Bring some.
Well,
to
they already
Blizzcon.
have a legal department, so I don't think they need that. But So yeah, I mean the ferrets are awesome and they're fun to watch them. They run around, but I wish they would pick up the gold first and then go bite the ankles. Just when I'm trying to Boon of the Hoarder myself up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You need to patch in an AI change for sure.
At least one of them, And yes, Beastmaster, because of the ferrets. It's really cute when they get really like super fast and they like run sideways and backwards and stuff. They kind of just dance around. It's really enjoyable. It's like a double Wolfpaq experience. I have a Wolfpaq and I have his pets too, so it's like you're there with me.
Yeah.
In spirit. Except you don't play Demon Hunters in the game.
I used to.
But yeah, so the Crider Shot is fun, and of course, so immediately I also got the M6 on Europe, and then I also lost interest in it. So it's kind of funny that like the most overpowered build in the game, but it's so not Demon Hunter-y. You just like stick these sentries down, they just kill stuff for you.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's really effective, but I just don't really enjoy it. So it seems like I enjoy getting up to like T3 or T4, and then I just want to play a new character. Apparently, hopefully I'll die soon, and this problem will be solved for me.
There you go.
So any other recent play stuff? I guess we get to multiplayer, which kind of segues from that. So multiplayer forever ago in Diablo 3 vanilla was just useless. I mean, nobody did it, and maybe with a friend, you didn't get enough benefits. There weren't really party skills. We had this debate many times on the podcast and in articles for like the first year of Diablo 3 vanilla. And like they got rid of ninja looting, and they limited player size to 4 per game, and they got rid of PKing, and like they took out the most annoying things about PvP. I mean about PvP as well, yes, but about multiplayer from Diablo 3 that Diablo 2 people complained about, right?
Yeah.
And they give you your own loot, and you got more experience, and you got your own gold, and everything was cool. But they just didn't have any real incentives to PvP. God, why do I keep saying PvP? Incentives to multiplayer. And people kept saying, we need more shared skills, we need better benefits and stuff. And then, of course, they found the ultimate incentive to multiplayer, which is, of course, Act 1 caches. Accidentally, but that was the whole thing for a while in Reaper of Souls, when everyone was split farming Act 1. And so did you guys get into split farming? What were your multiplayer experiences early on in Diablo 3? I mean, in Reaper of Souls, or Diablo 3?
I've pretty much always played multiplayer because I was playing with friends at first, and then later on, it was mostly grouping with gamers or people that I met there. Um, they really buffed everything. First of all, they buffed the Magic Find and Gold Find pre-ROS, and that was a big help to get people to group up. I would even play some public games then, but that was mostly softcore. But yeah, then ROS came out. They moved like the auras to a greater range, so that helped. And then you could just a lot of the public games were just normal Act 1 split and go try to find bags to get a Rorg. But I've pretty much grouped since it shipped, and of course it's a lot more beneficial now, with the possible exception of the double unity and follower can't die combination, which it kind of pushes you back to solo a little bit unless you have a really good group.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. I would only play with friends. I almost never did public games in vanilla, and because, well, at first it was you got penalized because the monster's damage went way up, which doesn't really make any sense. But then, I mean, yeah, there was not very much incentive. But then they added the strength in numbers buff, and then they added more reasons to. And then when they added bounties and split farming became a thing, then there was, like you said, serious incentive to play multiplayer. But now
But it wasn't co-op. It was just in the same game together.
Yeah. You weren't running around side by side at all. But that's different now. Especially, I mean, it's hard for me to distinguish because, especially with, I actually didn't play a lot of Reaper of Souls before 2.1. I'm pretty sure, even though 2.1's only been out a month, I've played more Reaper of Souls now in that time than I did previously. I don't know. I just feel like 2.1 has really made the game significantly better. But since I'm also playing it hardcore, it's hard for me to distinguish between whether or not it's hardcore that's making me play more multiplayer. But there's all kinds of reasons to be playing with friends, like power leveling and sharing. If you're farming together to try to get legendaries, like I see people in public games just saying, "Hey, I found this good legendary. I don't need it. Do you want it?" And it's just so cool, like because you can't trade, but you can trade with people in your party. And I guess that's another incentive, right? Is item binding. The more people you have, the more likelihood the 90% useless legendaries you find becomes like 80% instead of 90% because someone can make good use out of it. So, right now there's actually a guy in the clan who was really excited about making a wizard, and I'm really excited about making a crusader. And we're both playing with our main characters, except he's giving me all of the crusader loot he finds, and I'm giving him all the wizard loot I find. So I don't know. It's just really fun, and plus my real life friends, whenever they're on, I'll play with them too. So it's great.
So it's actually gotten to be I mean, what changed? I mean, Diablo 2, everyone played multiplayer, but that was just because you got more. There wasn't a way to set your custom difficulty level for a long time, at least unless you were in single player.
Right.
But then we had the monster power system right away in Diablo 3, and now we have the Torment system, and there you can basically set the difficulty you want. So I guess that was kind of the main incentive in Diablo 2 was just you get more experience, but you could do that anyway by yourself in D3. So they've finally added. I guess the monsters hit points scale up less, and your experience scales up more.
Yeah.
And of course, the whole thing is ultimately is the greater rifts thing. Now we have 2 and 3 and 4 player parties with different record keeping, and people can go higher. And you want to be able to get up to 30 or so you can upgrade your gems
Right.
to get at least to 25. So have either of you guys been pushing higher level greater rifts with friends, with parties?
I think the
I have
highest
not.
I've done is a 27 in a group of 4.
And you did 29 solo?
28.
Okay, that would be a no. So how did
Math is hard.
so how did the 4 players compare? And I probably that was before you were doing 29 solo.
It was. The 4 player group is good. We had 2 Crusaders and the Barb, and of course the Barb was buffing
Hiding in town and
Warcry.
sobbing.
No, he was buffing with Warcry and leaping ahead. But it does help, especially since you can have a couple tanks up front. It makes it a lot easier for me because I can then hang back a little bit, then run in when Soul Harvest is off cooldown. Pop the damage and then get back out. But
Yep.
man, the effects, the Jailer, the Thunderstorm, the stuff that can do damage, it really hurts.
I did a Greater Rift 32, but it was with 2 Demon Hunters, and they were doing everything while I sat in the back and blizzarded when I felt safe, which was not very often. So I'd hardly say that's me pushing Greater Rifts as much as it is me leeching. But I mean, it was great that they could do that. They were both cold, so everything was completely chilled and taking big damage from very far away. And I didn't feel completely useless because I had my Firebirds at the time. So if you're able to stack Firebirds up, to the full 3,000% per second permanently, it's really good. It's a lot of damage, and especially when Demon Hunters are faced with things they can't really handle, like sharp corners and Waller. Like, I don't care about corners or Waller. I'll just drop my Blizzard, run around the corner. Or Blizzard doesn't care about Waller either. So I did feel like I was able to contribute. But because they were, pushing so far ahead and dropping their sentries, it was able to keep me very safe. So I appreciated that as well.
So you were saying things Demon Hunters can't handle, and I was thinking you were going to say like emotional intimacy, or like like family reunions. But you didn't go there. You went to actual gameplay, so that was good. That's why I let you talk sometimes. I'm much better than non sequitur idiotic bullshit, but that's my skill set. So it's funny because as you guys were talking about a little bit about, like back in Diablo 2, you actually wanted to have contrasting party groups, and it was awesome to have a tank if you were like a Boazon or something. And my favorite thing ever was playing with a paladin who had fanaticism as their aura,
Right.
which buffed your damage and made you really really fast. And you couldn't add IAS really easily back in those days, but you got some other character who had that, or you get a druid with huge hit points buffs or whatever. And that was a lot of the complaints in the early Diablo 3, that the party buffs just weren't that good. It would add like 10% hit points, whereas in Diablo 2 they were adding like 150% hit points. I mean, something like that. It was just huge differences.
Right.
And now they've kind of fixed that a little in Diablo 3 now at this point, but it's still not. You don't get that much benefit from other people. I mean, it's not like you're getting doubling your resistance. Although obviously there are mantras and stuff that could be that way. They just don't seem to be as effective. But the most effective multiplayer groups in Diablo 3 are lots of Demon Hunters.
Yep.
It's like, hey, here's the most effective group. We're 3 of the same class doing the exact same skills. We just have more sentries. It's like, well, this is bullshit. I mean, that's not... the whole idea is that you have like tanks and support, and this kind of stuff. And that's great up to like, Greater Rift 34 or something like that, right? But you see these guys in like 47, and it's like, hey, there's 4 Demon Hunters now. And, maybe there's like one other class like in the back just, holding Leah's hand and sobbing quietly. But so yeah, obviously they haven't quite mastered the technique of, which is, I guess part of that is just because melee characters just aren't, it's just so much harder to be a tank at the really higher levels of Greater Rifts. You're so much squishier and in danger.
It is, and like you've mentioned, I think in previous podcasts, those sentries are always firing. They're always doing damage. So even if you're running away or repositioning, your damage output is consistent. That's a huge advantage for the M6 build. But it was a
Like,
weak class for a while, so we've kind of
you don't
seen,
say.
yeah, the demon hunters are up now and the barbs are down, but it was obviously pretty reversed for what, a couple years. So
Yeah, I think that's only right, and I think it should stay that way for at least another year, just so barbs can suffer and dream of greater days. But so none of us are. But I mean, there is a little bit of multiplayer, and it's not. A lot of the multiplayer still. It seems like people aren't split farming so much anymore because at least not a normal. No one does normal anymore. What people seem to be split farming now is one person just does T4, T5, T6, Act 1, and then says, "Hey, who wants a free bag?" And it's like, well, that's fun. But obviously, that's not exactly co-op. That's just sort of exploitive of whatever, which is cool.
it's just
I'm
helping out
not
your
complaining.
clanmates.
Have either of you guys done like T6? Because you get a guaranteed legendary from a cache on T6, and say you could only do like T5 by yourself or T4. Could you actually find friends and say, "Hey, we're just going to do T6 together, and we can really get the caches"? And just no one seems to really do it that way. You just all do T4 separately and then kind of share.
I haven't done that really. When I co-op, it's rifts or greater rifts.
Yeah,
I haven't done a lot of caches really. I've only got like a couple rogues, and maybe 3 total. But yeah, usually it's go by myself and start doing the bounties, and then if it's hard to say. Lately, what I've been doing by myself actually is gathering keys. So I'll go find the key wardens in a T5 or T6 game. And that's really annoying too.
yeah, that's why I think you really really want other people. They can spread out and find them quickly.
Yeah, but then the
If only you were in a
damage
clan with
goes
like
up.
power and members, and you could get people to join you.
Yeah, it's just when I get together with clanmates, really it's rifts or greater rifts. That's pretty much what we do.
Yep, that's about the same for me. I mean, bounties are fun, but you can do them so easily by yourself. And normally I'll just, because I was collecting a bunch of guaranteed legendaries to give my Crusader, and so I would just ask the clan when I was done with the T6, hey, do you guys want to come in and get a free legendary? And usually people do, but you'd be surprised. Sometimes there's a lot of people online and they're busy doing stuff, so they say no.
Yeah, you're in the middle of a greater rift or something.
Exactly.
Yep.
Others are afraid to talk because your magnetic personality is frightening in small
I
circles.
don't know if it's that. I'm pretty sure
No,
it's
you
not.
you don't? Because I mean,
But
I have that problem.
people in North are not afraid to talk in the clan chat. There's plenty of chatter.
That's true.
Exactly. Do you make a lot of Stark jokes? Clan Stark, because you're in the north, and then winter must come.
I haven't heard that one
Winter is
yet.
coming, or something.
No, but when you said that Clan North would remain independent, I immediately thought of Stark.
Exactly. And the Greyjoys will take you because we do not sow or reap or something. But yeah. So there's. What would you guys like to see more of a multiplayer? I mean, you're doing it a little bit, but not totally. Do you wish there were like really good ways, like if you were getting ready to do a greater rift and you were like, instead of just wanting some huge powerful demon hunter to carry you, you'd be like, okay, this would be awesome if I could have a barbarian because he has this skill and it totally does this thing for me, and then I do this for him with my skill. Would you wish there were more kind of like interlocking things that really worked well, synergies almost between classes?
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, like you said in D2, the class buffs were insane. Like what a barbarian could do for your health was ridiculous, and it pales. I mean, it's what 10% health now, instead of doubling it. And I mean, I understand that they don't want to make the game too easy, but it's coming at the expense of making it's already. I guess
They don't.
I guess yeah. It's already a thing. Is that it's pretty easy if you have a geared demon hunter. So why couldn't it be pretty easy if you have a team working together too? It's already split off into different leaderboards anyway. So I would appreciate it if the group things like mantras and war cries and the laws that the Crusader have all got significant buffs. Like 8% attack speed is hardly noticeable.
Yeah, it's a half a legendary gym.
Yeah.
So any multiplayer wishes for you, other person?
I would just prefer that barbs have a little more survivability these days because
I don't. I want them. I like them miserable and weak.
Warcry really helps
They'll
out.
never get old.
The Crusader buffs don't help out that much for this build, but obviously having somebody out in front does. So I don't know. I think that the good groups work well together. I know people are going to be mad at this probably, but I think they need to nerf the double unity thing because that just doesn't seem right. Doesn't you're not really encouraging group play in a co-op game.
By making an absolutely mandatory pair of legendary items that only work when you have a follower. Yes.
Right.
Or they could just allow followers in multiplayer games. I mean, it's not like the screen clutter isn't already ludicrous with, like, I mean, True Demon Hunters is what, 6 or 12, 10 centuries down, like going blasting the screen with multi-shot and cluster arrow. Like, I don't see how a little scoundrel running around in the back is going to hurt things all that much. Of course, Unity still
And he's got
wouldn't be
witty
usable,
banter too.
but I mean, that's a different story.
Well, remember when they were going to have people were pissed off they were only going to have 4 players in Diablo 3? They wanted 8 again. Can you imagine 8 players in Diablo 3 games?
No.
No, my video card already cries a lot of times, so 4 is the
Yeah.
limit.
And that was like a big deal for a long time. People were like so pissed off, It's like, oh, you're dumbing down. You 58 players out of my Diablo 3, that kind of thing. And no one ever played 8 people on the same screen in Diablo 2 unless you were doing a bail run maybe, and that was just absolute chaos.
Yeah.
If you're a melee character, you just like you couldn't see a effing thing, right?
Yeah,
Just
not
kind
at
of
all.
click in the middle and hope for the best.
You
Yeah, I
can't
mean,
see a thing now as a melee character with 4.
But you're only a barbarian, so no one cares. Which is what you deserve. That'd be a lesson to the rest of you. So I guess that's multiplayer stuff. I mean, I wish there were more. I would like to I just remember how fun it was to party up in Diablo 2. You just be like, okay, it's everyone is so improved when a druid would join the game or something. It's like, oh, awesome, cast Oak Sage. And now we all have 10,000 more hit points or whatever. I have no recollection of Diablo 2 numbers, by the way. Like I couldn't even tell you within 100,000 of what a damage value was.
Nope.
Same
D3
here.
D3 numbers that were so inflationy. It's like
well,
I remember playing Diablo 1 I played recently a little bit, and your high damage in Diablo 1 is like 82 to 100. It's like, oh my god. So speaking of irrelevance, we're gonna get it your topic, Xanth, Oz. You both have a Z or possibly an X in your name, so I confuse you. You're a clan officer, and there are we mentioned this every day since the stupid clans thing came in Diablo 3, but there just aren't really any admin tools, and we would like there to be some. So what are your as an officer, what do you notice in clans, and what would you like different about them?
Okay, so here's the thing. You mentioned the long spreadsheet that I have, and it probably took a couple hours to go through it all, and it could have been half that if they would just make a basic programming thing that takes you to the previous screen. But if you go in to view somebody's profile and then you hit X, you're back out. You're not even back in the clan menu. You're back clear out to the game menu, with your character staring at you. So
You have to go alphabetical down the list again and try to find the
yeah,
names. It's just ridiculous.
and so I don't know why I can't go through the roster, view a profile, hit X, and then go right back to where I was. That's just terrible programming.
How about just a last logged on?
Last logged on, yeah. I mean, all the indicators are missing as well. You have to get that from the armory. Um, there's no way to scroll to old news items that I can see. It's like I want to just filter out everything, so I only get the messages of who joined the clan and who left the clan, but you can't go back a day or 2 days or 3 days or 4 days. It's just whatever's on the screen at that time. There's not even a scroll down. So that's silly. And then I have a couple other things that maybe aren't specifically clan related, but I don't know.
We got about 10 minutes to fill on this topic, so feel free to
Okay.
elaborate.
Well, here's the other thing. This is a leaderboard thing.
Let's take that horse to the glue
All
factory,
right.
as we say.
Yeah, there's a leaderboard thing too. I wish that they would snapshot the gear and the build of the player when they actually do the Greater Rift. But now, you view the profile, but that may or may not be reflective of what the gear was or build was at the time. I don't know if that's a thing where they, not giving out your secrets or whatever, but in the internet age, that seemed a little bit silly. So that's something else I would like to see. And then the worst one, especially in hardcore, is when you mouse to the bottom left of the screen and it brings up the stupid chat window. I hate that. That's more of a game control thing than it is the clan roster. But that's another one of those that just drives me crazy. And I think, can't you guys do something about this?
I did a news post like a week or two ago about your top 10 fixes in Diablo 3 or whatever. That was actually one of the topics that I saw a number of people comment on. Like, can you make it so it doesn't pop up this giant wall of text if I happen to go to the bottom left of the screen by accident?
Well, especially in a game where you're trying to target, at range, that's going to happen. It happens to me quite a bit, and it obviously drives me crazy. So
I,
they need
I
to
don't
get on
think
that
I
and
don't think
hotfix it.
you're too mild. Nothing drives you crazy. You get mildly annoyed by it. You put your Bud Light with lime down and you go, darn it.
Just one of these times it's going to lead to a red screen. I'm going to be really mad. And then I'll just, start up level one character and play again because they got me hooked.
Exactly. So I mean, we've been joking about this ever since the whole feature came in, and it's like, at some point they'll get the basic feature set of IRC in 1987 in Diablo 3 clans and in 2014. So I mean, what do we? It's the basic functionality, and then just nothing that anybody would like. I mean, everything you just said, you're not exactly asking for like multi-level recursive chat boxes. You just want, can I get a frickin' menu? And it's like, why do they do? So why do they put this this otherwise technologically very savvy company with all their awesome games? And I can't wait for Titan. That seems like it's really going to be cool. I hope that's going to come out soon. Wolfpaq's like, yeah, me too.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, what happens? We know this the whole issue where that they have different programmers for BattleNet versus what they have on the individual game titles, and the BNet guys are covering like 14 games at once, right? Plus Titan, that's going to be awesome. I hope they get some really good features for that online. And it just they're overworked and they're doing a bunch of stuff at once. But it just seems like, what's the point in making? Okay, clans are better than nothing, right? I mean, we prefer what we have now to nothing at all.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. It just feels like that interface was a last minute kludge where they didn't. I don't know if they didn't test it or if they didn't think they'd ever have to look at a roster in depth or what. But um, again, I can't get over, like, this seems like a basic programming thing where you wouldn't want to go all the way back out to the character menu if you hit X after you've looked at a profile. Ugh.
So Wolfpack, you're not an officer because we don't trust you with power,
Yeah.
and you can't be trusted with authority because you will bite its ankle instead of embracing it. So in a level 3 clan member who doesn't have to worry about this kind of bullshit that Aahz is being tortured by, what benefits do you get from the clan? Just people around, and what would you like to be changed or improved in it?
Um, I like being in the clan because just it's nice seeing people looting legendaries. I mean, it's obviously the best is when you loot it, but seeing someone get something awesome, you can say, hey, congrats, and gives you that incentive because if it dropped for him, maybe one day it could drop for you, and
Probably not. No.
probably not, but there's a chance. And then, of course, there's the condolences when people die. It's sad, but I mean that's another hardcore specific thing because in soft,
It took 6 months to get into the game. Yes.
yeah, you say, hey, oh, crap, he lost 30 hours or 70 hours, yeah, and so there's a level of, and especially when it's someone who is pushing greater rifts, who has a ton of really good gear. There's just yeah. There's a lot of camaraderie for that, and then of course, I didn't even think about sharing bounties at the beginning, but several people. I think I even mentioned this on the previous podcast I was on. It was right after 2.1 went live. As soon I was like, I don't know, one of the top 100 people to hit level 70, and then someone invited me to their bounty game, and I got a ring of royal grandeur like right then and there, and so yeah, every once in a while, someone on chat will say, "Hey, come join my game for a free bounty," and I've started doing that too. Is I've made a T6 game and said, "Hey, come get a free legendary shot at a Rorg." Like that's pretty cool. I don't think the interface is great, but it works for what I need it to, and like you said, it's better than nothing. It doesn't really bother me as much, obviously, because I'm not an officer. I just log in and have a nice chat window. So they're a nice.
It's like the new pay it forward. It's the whole here's your free cash.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if you're not looking at a roster in depth or news items, the interface is fine. You can
Yeah.
see who's online, you can see what they're playing, and
Yeah.
it's easy to message them and such. So that part works really well.
Yeah, and there's a nice row of pictures at the bottom reminiscent of the whole D2 thing.
The fact
Chat
that you
rooms.
can't look for other clans while you're in one clan is really annoying. That came up just when we were doing the whole merger thing. Because everybody's like, how do I look for what the new clan is? I'm like, you can't. You have to leave this clan, then you can look for the new clan. It's like, wait, what? But what if it's not there? It's like, well, then you're effed. Then you will die alone.
Yeah, that's a problem too. And I guess that's just, they're doing something really simple, but you got to at least be able to search and see what's out there.
It's almost like a test, you know. It's like if you want to look, then you don't belong in this clan anymore. You can't even look at another clan. It's like my first wife. I haven't gotten the Facebook joking yet, have I? Have to work on that one.
Oh, not yet.
Yeah, well, that was all in the pregame show. So I guess our on clans were like they suck, but they're better than nothing. So
Just,
kind
yeah,
of
again,
like
just the
kind of
certain
like get your ex's
tools.
Facebook, huh?
Wow.
I know I get it. Wolfpaq's like, wow, what a master. Sorry, go ahead, Az.
No. I'm just saying the tools in particular could be improved with just a little bit. There's a lot of low hanging fruit there that for 2.12 Blizzard could put in.
Yeah, I just think it's the whole we only have programmers that are all working on Hearthstone now, and maybe in a year they'll come back to this. Like remember when Reaper of Souls came out, we had some new achievements, but like not very many. They were like a bunch of obvious achievements that didn't exist, like say getting to level 70. You know, it was just like there's all these major like they put all these achievements in initially, and Diablo 2 had a billion achievements, and then they just didn't have all these obvious stuff that should have been added in. Like when the whole Paragon system got removed, you know, and there's like stuff that's still sort of lingering. You'll see a blue post every now and then. They're like, "How come this achievement still exists when it's not no longer possible to get?" And like, we're gonna make that one a feat of strength. It's like, oh great, thanks. But yeah, it's just I guess if someone wants to hire 10 more Battle.net programmers out of their own pocket, then maybe they can make all these awesome things happen, and then Oz will be happy. But in the meantime, we make do with what we have.
It seems like they could do it with one if they just stuck them on that one project, but hard to
But,
do.
but there's a new card in Hearthstone.
That's
So the last thing I want to talk about is BlizzCon, and it's coming up fairly soon. Are either of you guys attending BlizzCon this year?
I'm not.
Nope.
And Wolfpack lives like a mile from BlizzCon, and you're not going in anyway.
I mean, I may swing by and just laugh at the people in line, and then leave.
Oh, that's awesome. Take a camera.
All right.
So, obviously, yeah, BlizzCon is coming up. We had a news item this week, and some people were like, some guy was asking, like, can we get a state of the game about Diablo 3 and what's going to come up new soon and what's changing and what is going on? And Blue was like, what? We just put out a patch. You should be happy with that. Which is kind of what I thought, given that we went like years between patches in Diablo 2. We just kind of accepted it. And now people are like, it's been 3 weeks since a giant patch with whole new features. What's going on? What's next? It's like, nothing. Next is the expansion pack in a year, and until then you can just play this and be happy. We'll give you seasons, and 3 new legendary items each time, and you can be happy with it. But anyway, they basically just said we're not going to. Some other blue, commented and said, well, I guess we're gonna, BlizzCon is only 6 weeks away, and we'll get new stuff then. And so we've all been wondering what we're going to see there. And I was arguing some weeks ago that maybe we'll get the expansion, which no one else seems to agree with, and I really don't agree with it either personally. But it's fun to pretend, right? But are you guys expecting? Obviously, you're not going. If you strongly thought the expansion was going to be revealed at BlizzCon, would that change your opinion? Would you be going then, Wolfpack?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If I thought that I'd be able to play the new class from the next Diablo expansion, I would have gotten tickets.
You've never been to one, have you, Oz? You're far away.
Yeah, I have
so.
not. But I know what the big news at BlizzCon is going to be for Diablo 3. They're going to let us know how long Season 1 is going to last.
That'll be awesome. I bet it starts like the day after BlizzCon. Like they've had a couple times. Be like, hey, Season 2 tomorrow. So all of you who are here and can't prepare for it, congratulations. I still remember back in, God, what year was it? I think it was 12 maybe, or 11. So no, there wasn't a BlizzCon on 12. It was 10 or 11 or 9 or something. And they had the whole Diablo 3 opening thing, and then Mike Morham's like, and we're going to give Diablo 3 beta keys to you guys. And it's like, yay! He's like, 1,000 of you randomly chosen. People are like throwing tomatoes and shit at him. There's 37,000 people here, and 1 out of 33 of you is going to get a Diablo 3 beta key. Where people are like, oh, that's bullshit, dude. I think they really didn't think that one through too far, personally. But okay, you're all here, and most of you will get nothing. But enjoy. So anyway, 2005 was the first BlizzCon. I went to that one, and there was absolutely nothing of Diablo there. There was like a cinematic picture of Bale on a wall somewhere. That was Diablo anything at BlizzCon 1. It was mostly about StarCraft or Warcraft or one of those other games I don't play. And then in '07, I didn't go. I'm sure it was all WoWcraft, and probably Nine Ball had a great time. And 2008 was Diablo 3 was playable, and that was awesome. The Wizard was also revealed. They had just revealed Diablo 3 in June of that year. Or was it July? I forget. It wasn't long before BlizzCon, though. And that was fun and playable. And then in 2009, we got the Monk reveal, and the Act 2 demo was playable. And I remember playing that for like an hour and a half solid in the press room. In more recent years, they actually didn't have demo machines in the press room last year. But in the early ones, in '08 and '09, they had demo machines in the press room, and they had no time limits on the demos, which was kind of weird. And the ones on the show floor was like a 15 or 20-minute time limit. So you could just get there and play all day. And it wasn't just play all day and start a new round every 20 minutes. It was just play all day in the same game, which was cool because people on the show floor are like racing madly to try to get through all the content, and you could just do the whole thing forever. The drawback was always be in line behind like some Norwegian guy who was covering World of Warcraft and like couldn't figure out how to click, and like he was fumbling with the ASDF keys, like why am I not moving?
Oh,
I remember that was actually a big thing in like '08 and '09, where all these people who played World of Warcraft were like, how come there's not an overhead view, and where's my first person view, and how come WASD doesn't do anything? And it was like, I'm going to kill you now. I'm going to shove you into a grinder, and over your dead body, I'll play this game that I've been waiting for 5 years.
right.
And they would go, yeah, I'm now with iodine. And they didn't care about your problems. But so trying to figure out what we're going to get at BlizzCon, the first, '08, '09, 10, and 11 were all building up to Diablo 3's release. So there was new stuff for the first three of those, and then 11 was basically during the beta test, so they didn't really have anything new there except for PvP Arena, which was the greatest thing ever, which you've never seen since. And then in 12, there was no BlizzCon at all because apparently Jay Wilson ate it. And then in 2013, we already had Reaper of Souls revealed. So really, this year would be like the 2012 version of BlizzCon. Like it's after the game is out, but they're not going to announce an expansion pack yet. Except, of course, we didn't have one in 2012 because, as I mentioned, Jay Wilson ate it. That was the funny part. That's where you guys go, haha, Jay Wilson fat joke. It was like a hamburger. Because Jay Wilson fat jokes never get old.
Roderick hamburger?
I eat that too. So, what are you guys expecting to see? I mean, we've kind of gone over this in the past, and everyone's like, nothing. We'll find out when season's end.
Yeah, I don't really expect anything big on the Diablo 3 front. I can't. Actually am still having a lot of fun with it. Having fun with seasons, and I don't know. I think the game's in a good place at the moment.
Well, God damn it! What are you on the podcast for?
I don't know.
You spilled all your bile on
Clan tools.
on the lack of clan tools, and now you're just happy. So Wolfpaq, tell us why everything is wonderful.
I don't know if everything's wonderful, but
Well, Aahz does. Are you contradicting your clan leader?
No, I never would do that. But
See, might use some of those clan tools to dock you clan points now. Oh wait.
I did think that your arguments made sense for why they would be announcing the expansion at this BlizzCon, and I hope you're wrong about changing your mind about that. Or I just hope they announce it.
So what were those arguments for people who don't remember, or like myself?
Well, you were saying that because previously a lot of Diablo 3 press sites hadn't gotten BlizzCon passes, but a ton of you did this year, and I mean the timing works out because as far as announcing goes, because they generally announce like 6 months, a year before expansions, and Reaper of Souls has been out plenty long. A year and a half from now would be a perfect time, in my opinion, to release, but we'll see.
Yeah, they announced Reaper of Souls in like August, and then it came out in May, or it came out in March. So it was only like 6 months.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think if anything, I just think maybe it's too soon because it's been, 9 months since Reaper of Souls came out, and we knew they wanted to make it every 18 months. Basically, that's what they've been trying to get that with World of Warcraft expansions forever, and they're always like 20 or 22 months. And then Diablo 3. We know that there was a lot of emergency patching afterwards. I mean, they came out and said that we had to spend more time working on patches and fixes than we anticipated, which is why Reaper of Souls was 22 months instead of 18 or 20 months.
Right.
But I guess in their perfect world, they do want to put an expansion out about 18 months after release, which would mean we're 9 months into that. And if they announced it, in November we'll be 9 months into that anyway. And that would be the halfway point. But I think it seems like they're more like, they'd rather go like 12 months and then announce it and then have 6 months instead of 9 and 9 months.
Yeah.
Like Irish twins.
You think they're going to build another act again for the next expansion? Just because I'm hardly ever in Act 5. I hardly ever play it.
Actually, you just mentioned that was the question I was going to have. When is the last time either of you guys were in Act 5 on purpose? I don't mean Act 5 tile set in a rift. I mean actually in Act 5. Other than the town when the game starts you there sometimes.
Yeah, not recently.
Before seasons, I think I went through and got a bunch of my characters that are guaranteed mouthfeel drop on like normal difficulty. That was months ago.
Oh, right. I attempted the 1 hour full game clear. That was the last time I was
So
there.
you were in Act 5 for 14 minutes.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, it's a really nice act, and the monsters are, fairly interesting and kind of a pain in the ass sometimes. Everyone loves the reapers and the leapers and the I burst into bats when I die guys and stuff.
Yeah,
But just every damn level is like 5,000 feet wide, and it's just you look at the bounties there, and it's like I can do all of Act 1 at the time I can do 2 of these.
well, the other thing is I'm hardly ever in any act other than Act 1 for my Rourg. Like if I'm not farming bounties for Rourg, or looking for keys, then I'm probably not wandering around the acts. So that goes for Act 2, Act 3, Act 4, and Act 5.
Yeah, there's not even
The
a
thing
key
people,
warden in Act 5, so I'm never there.
yeah, the thing people were really asking for a lot back before we had greater rifts and Nephilim rifts as much were, why can't we get like, 2 extra bounty bags if you do every bounty in the game in one game? Do you all do all 5 acts worth of bounties? And I don't think anybody would even bother with that because you can do Act 1 3 times in the same amount of time, so why bother,
Right.
right? But I mean, if they had like a special Act 5 bounty that dropped, had like potential double drop of legendaries, or you got 2 caches for it or something, it just seems like, as you were, this whole question came, you just asked a minute as, are they going to make another act? And I was joking with that months ago on the podcast with Nineball and other people saying like, why don't they just make a bunch more tile sets for Nephilim rifts, and then because nobody plays the acts anymore. So why bother with all this time and effort and plot and dialogue and character voices and NPCs, and just make it like a DLC. Just make a bunch more bounties and make a bunch more rift levels and more items. That's all anybody likes anyway, right?
Yeah, especially the items.
I'd be good with that. I'd also be good with buying more character slots. I'm out of character slots.
So when expansion comes out and it's just more character slots, more tile
Yes!
sets, and more items,
And another stash tab.
and it's $40 though. That's like, see, I think they need a new, and obviously the Druidomancer, of course, has to be in that one as well.
Is that really what we're saying? It's going to be Druid or Necromancer or a combo?
God, I hope
I
not.
hope not
Like, just
too.
I
I really hope
feel
not.
making that joke forever. That's just like the most obvious, stupid thing they could possibly do, except for trolls.
Yeah.
I just hope they don't have some World of Warcraft character come over.
Well,
New troller.
I was happy they brought the Paladin in, though. So I don't know. Maybe they might make people happy, but
They don't have a
bringing in
paladin.
the
It's a
Necromancer.
crusader. He's very, very different.
Well, you know what I mean. Similar enough.
No, he's very, very
Yes,
different.
Blessed Hammer.
It's not the same at
Yes,
all.
Blessed Hammer.
See, the other one was like the god of Rathma, and this one's like the apprentice of, and he shaves his shield when his Obi-Wan dies, or I don't know. I'm not really on the lore, frankly.
No,
But I feel like I think that there's all these developers and designers at Blizzard who just want to make like story and not just have randomization of items.
yeah. Well, they could.
I mean, we kind of suck. It's like you're the best cook in the world, and all the people want are hamburgers or something. You're like, oh, we like our hamburgers. Just make more hamburgers. You're like, no, I want to make, I want to make lasagna. I want to make like real food. And like, no, we just want hamburgers. So hamburgers. Like, and you know who else like hamburgers? Jay Wilson.
There it is.
Well, that's like weakest joke ever. So I don't know. I mean, if they announce an expansion and it doesn't have a whole new act, will you just be like, good? I mean, wouldn't you regret it in some way and just feel like this is a ripoff or old time's sake or?
I wouldn't think it's a ripoff. I mean, do we really need a lot of acts? 5 acts is sufficient, I think. Especially if it means they
Well,
can spend more time working on interesting things like tons new legendaries and sets. Because, while I think it's really cool that we can finally obtain in a reasonable amount of time and effort the V class item, it's kind of lame at the same time that each class only has like one set that is their set. Like it would be great if there were more options, and I would much rather have like 2 endgame sets for each class than an entire I don't know, than an entire new act. Like that kind of balancing would be.
so they should just like fire Leonard Boyarsky and hire more actors, more item
Yes.
designers. I don't know if Leonard likes that very
Well,
much.
I
And
mean, I
clan
don't.
management tools.
Well, maybe he can,
Clan man.
find his abilities as a item designer.
So I don't know. I mean, we all were excited. I mean, but if obviously if Act Five were, I mean, what if they just like cut like half the levels in size? You know? I mean, a lot of them are good in rifts. You know, I constantly get the the what the hell's the outdoor Battlefields of Eternity. I get that one a lot in rifts, and that's
Hmm.
awesome in rifts because usually you get 100% right in that one
Yeah.
level. And then with all the stupid levels that you get inside the, you get inside the yellow portal to get there in Act Five, whatever that one's called, all the little, little rocky
Yeah,
peninsulas
yeah,
and
I know
stuff.
exactly what you're talking about.
You get that one a ton. That one's awesome for any kind of range character because you can just nuke guys on little next little maces all over the place.
It's dangerous though, because it seems like there's
You can
always
get
an elite pack
trapped.
right at the portal.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know. I mean, it seems like it would be. I mean, obviously they have somehow they're making this work in World of Warcraft. They've done 14 expansions for that game by now, or 13, I forget which, but and they have a whole new land and levels, and obviously the level cap goes up, and they don't have new classes in those. They have to add new content, that new items and stuff.
Yeah, they probably have
But
to put something together that's seen as kind of a standalone new thing to increase sales. Because the junkies like us will buy whatever, but they need to market to more than that. Somebody who wants to just play it once, play through the story, maybe.
Oh, that's true.
so they got to have a story, but it just obviously Act Five was well done, but just nobody plays it anymore. And it's not about how it looks or how it feels or what the monsters are. It's just like the size of the levels and the way the bounties take forever to do, and the fact that the bounties aren't rewarding enough, so everyone just does Act One
They
anyway.
could just
What if you got Rorgs only in Act Five? Would you
exactly.
start doing Act
That'd
Five
be a
then?
pretty simple solution. Just make the Ring of Royal Grandeur a Act 5 only cash item. Then everybody would go there for farming that.
Yep, they would.
Or else they just wait for Wolfpaq to finish it and join his game for a free one.
You know what I think is funny? I heard a lot of people complaining about how in Acts 1 through 4, especially Act 4, there's a lot of levels that aren't quite as big and random, and so people were really asking in the expansion to say, hey, can we please get, some big epic levels like we had in D2, but now no one,
And now they
they
got
got
him.
them and no one likes them because all you really want to do is do your bounty and get out. I'm not even sure why people were such a big fan of them in D2 anyway. I mean, you just uh,
Because you just did the same single level over and over again forever, and you want them to last
yeah,
longer.
I mean everyone was doing bail runs and magic finding skipping straight to the boss anyway, so I don't
Everybody hated Act 3 and D2. That was the biggest complaint, was the stupid jungle you'd wander around
yeah, and
forever.
that was like the biggest most random levels, so
And now, and now it's Act 5,
yeah,
so
I don't understand the
just
draw.
put giant mosquitoes in there for old time's sake.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I think they probably designed Act 5 in a storytelling and a visual sense, and that was before they really had any idea how the game would change with bounties. And then now bounties and adventure mode are all anybody plays, and no one ever goes to the act except for one time to get to adventure mode. And it's like, unless you're trying to get your legendary from Bale, which no one does anymore.
Right.
But yeah, obviously the game has changed a great deal in patches, and that doesn't really. It's hard to match that up to the act content itself. But we could do a whole podcast on how you can fix Act 5 or what's wrong with Act 5, or
What people
make
wanted
it
was
more.
cesspools. That's what they really wanted.
Yes.
Then they would play Act 5 if there were cesspools in Act 5.
And now we get those for free. I mean, there's good tile sets in Act 5, and if you look at the behind the scenes DVD, like half the content is about designing Act 5.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's like nothing. There's almost nothing about the Crusader and stuff. It's all about how they did the Act 5 tile sets and the monster types and stuff. And then it's like no one has seen them since.
That was
So
an emphasis at Blizzcon too. They were really excited about the marsh and the whole ecosystem they had created with all the different bats and little guys that got tossed around like crazy. Which
yeah, you like that.
yeah,
The whole what are the
yeah, the
boggets.
boggets.
And you're like someone screamed, why are you doing this stuff? I remember you saying that on the podcast.
Yeah, I thought
And there was a chinchilla in the background, like an eerie chirping sound.
I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was pretty cool, but it doesn't. It's not lasting content like items are.
Which change every patch
Yep.
completely, lasting until they change it all. Yeah, so basically, at BlizzCon, they just need to have like a 3-hour panel about like you're talking about like the 4/2 primary secondaries, and like how they can change that and make better primaries and new legendary affix. It's just like 5 hours of that, and all the WoW fans will be like, I don't care about any of this. Can we show pretty pictures? Can we have a cinematic of Diablo fighting Andariel in the sky? That was the biggest cheer at last year's BlizzCon. So That was a Hearthstone reference there,
Oh,
by the way. Or no, Heroes of the Storm,
oh
whatever.
yeah, that.
That was the biggest cheer. The stupid cinematic for that, and no one's played it since. Actually, it's a big hit. Never mind. Okay, so if you guys are going to BlizzCon, I am going, and I hope there'll be something cool to see there. And I think there'll be at least some panels and some new
Yeah.
stuff. And with any luck, we'll find out when the first season ends. So that'll be pretty cool.
Crossing my fingers.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. And any final thoughts, guys?
No, not really. Just having fun, and I mean, I do think they need to address the M6 and buff some other classes to be able to compete with that. But other than that, it's fun. It's fun to play solo or with groups.
Yeah, this is the best. Definitely, the 2.1 is the high point of Diablo 3, in my opinion, by far. I'm more interested in it now than I have been.
That's just because you're hardcore, though.
That
Man.
could be, but
Could be.
I mean, I love
Hard to
the
tell.
legendary drop rate. I remember back when I was in the beta for Reaper of Souls for the longest time, and everyone was like, "Oh yeah, one legendary for 90 minutes is great. That we don't want to have too many legendaries." And those people are so crazy because now you get one every 15 minutes, and it still doesn't feel like enough, but it feels like fun, at least, like you're accomplishing something. So
And plus, you can hear Jay Wilson scream in agony whenever you find one, too. He's like, "No, you shouldn't have that. You're having too much fun."
it's
Okay, what was my Jay Wilson's quota for the joke for Jay Wilson's jokes quota for the show? Have we met that yet? You think?
there have been a lot of hamburger jokes.
Okay, that's good. So that adds up. That's like a half
Yeah, I think
credit.
you're under by a half. It was nine. It was
Unlike
nine
Jay
and a half.
Wow. Well, he just reached it.
And one more to go. So yeah, probably edit all those out anyway. So you've listened to the Diablo 3 podcast. We're online at diablolinkgamers.com, and you can see these guys in our North Clan, which is not accepting any new members because you're not good enough to be there. And I'm in the new Ink Glamours. That's a Lady Gaga's guild, and it is accepting new members for the next few minutes, but you're probably not good enough to be in there either. So good luck with that. And if not, you can play multiplayer and alone because no one cares about you and no one loves you, like Jay Wilson. Okay. And moo.
Moo, 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 moo.